Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. Today we are joined by Verve Design and Build. In the house, we have the absolute rock stars. That is Kevin Mashford, CEO of Verve Design and Build, and Parthasarathy Sridhar, partner and director at Verve Design and Build. Probably one of the few companies out there that chant the mantra of on time, on budget, zero defects. The Holy Trinity, if you will. And today we're going to learn how they achieve it, how we as designers can support them to achieve it, how together we can deliver projects that truly push the boundaries of innovation and what can be done. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for having us.
Awesome. So Verve Design have a whole new mantra, if you will, which I've been seeing off late. The whole, almost a very ambitious claim, I would say, for a DNB kind of sized company like yourself, which is on time, on budget with zero defects. Now, that seems like the Holy Trinity. It seems like something which is almost impossible in most projects. So right off the bat, what are you guys doing differently to achieve this?
Yeah, so no defects, no surprises is the bottom two. And I get that people think it's an aspirational kind of strapline, but it's not. It's more of our philosophy going forward. We recognise that this region is evolving very, very quickly, and D&B projects, by their very nature, are very fast-paced. But actually, when you take a step back sometimes and really explain the process to people, and almost have to insist on putting the brakes on sometimes and pushing back, because the way of getting no defects and no surprises is to allocate adequate time for the design process initially, so that you can design out defects in CAD.
Right.
You know, we should be looking at that stage to design out defects and any surprises to our clients. So making sure that we are very detailed and thorough in that process aids the process on site. There should be no ambiguity when it gets to site, and there should be a very clearly defined design detailing, which then translates into a detailed scope of works and, of course, the cost of the client. So that the two things link very well, because you've designed things in so much detail, you're able to price that in a great amount of detail, and that's where the no surprises comes from as well. Gotcha. So unless the client dramatically changes the design on site halfway through the delivery side, then there is a defined BOQ, scope of works, detailed drawings, and that's how we do it.
Right. But in reality, you do have a lot of unforeseen site conditions, for example, that could show up, especially if you're doing something like a renovation or something like that. You tear off the ceiling, you suddenly find there's this whole new drop beam that showed up, which wasn't there on any drawing. So do you kind of have to manage those unforeseen things also in this program?
Yeah, I mean, that's project management, right? That's what we're being paid for. Ultimately, we're being paid for being the client's project manager, and we should be, as designers and project managers, anticipating those kind of contingencies. And again, from a delivery point of view, we've got very good people working on the delivery side of the projects, where we have a thing in the office where you raise the flag straight away. You don't sit on things. And I guess if you raise things early enough in the project, again, although it's unforeseen, you raise it, you come up with a solution, and then you deliver it to the client. So again, you're managing the process, managing the expectations, and providing a solution before it comes to a problem.
Gotcha. Okay. How does that sort of work? I want to then pivot to Partha in terms of procurement, in terms of actually getting materials on site. And as we all know, supply chain, not the same this quarter as it was the last. So in these times, how are we still sort of maintaining on time out of the on budget zero defects?
See, when it comes to procurement of the project, we have a very straight up strategy. What we use is the moment let's say if it's a D&B project or it's a tender project, there's two different way we deal with it. Or a D&B project, we have done the design. So from the beginning, our designers are now mindful, considering what's going on, what is the lead time, what is the project time. So we're very mindful of what materials to be put forward in the design. so we don't have any issues. On the tender side of it, let's say if it's a specified product, right, we're very clear in our PTCs on the tenders that these products are out of the country right now, and then shipping is having issues. It has to be taken care of, and then voluntarily we go forward with multiple options to them as a option. Sometimes it is VE, sometimes it is actual spec from a different factory. Let's say if it's a carpet not coming out of Europe, but the same manufacturer we just did a project which the same manufacturer had a factory in China. They could ship out faster than coming out of Netherlands. So that's the strategy. Internally, what we do is, let's say the moment the project is signed off, we do a very detailed kickoff meeting with the entire team, designers, estimation, project managers, procurement. Kevin joins, I joined, Azim joins, almost all our team is there in the room. We sit out, we spend like 2 hours if needed to be. We review everything, we discuss it out. From there, what happens, me and procurement team, what we do is we set out a timeline of 2 weeks. It's ambitious, but we are able to do it. So our main aim is to get at least 90% of the project procured in next 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
2 weeks, 90% of the project?
90%. 90.
So, and this applies if it's a 2,000 square foot cafe, 45,000 square foot office, it's still 2 weeks. We have set internal targets. Just for, I wouldn't take the name. Like there's one project which we are trying to do in the IFC Square. It's a big project. It's a full floor project. But where we are able to, this is 1 week done. We're already 50% through. And we just did the procurement meeting just before I came to the show. And by Wednesday, we should be done with 85%. Which is okay, very close to what we intended. We intended to do 90, but we'll be done with 85. We've got the codes. Now the team is talking on the numbers, strategizing how to move forward. So, yes. Gotcha. Okay. I feel like then you must have some very robust workflows, or very robust sort of systems that on some level can kind of automate this and raise those red flags as you were mentioning earlier. So, anything which you guys, I know obviously you can't share your secret sauce, obviously, which is fine. But if you could maybe share with the audience something which you found was a very big gap, which you were able to close?
Yeah, look, there is a secret sauce. And of course we won't disclose that. But actually, it comes down to first principles of effective communication, across teams. We do have a very good tracker for our projects and our project resource. But actually, we've got a very good squad of people.
Right.
And when we get to a project, that we pick our team from the squad for that project, and we make sure everybody's in the right position. Okay. So we don't have Lionel Messi playing in goal.
Right.
Okay. We have everybody in the right position. And that's been a process over a period of time, is making sure that we've got absolutely the right people in the right role. And now those teams are, the team, this formation is set, the strategy set. And actually, when we play a match now, we know who to pass the ball to. We know who's going to put the corner in and who's going to head it in. We can talk in World Cup analogies at the moment, right?
I'm all for 4-4-2, no problem.
But it really is, first principles, basic principles of project management and delivery is the right team talking to the right people at the right time, and making sure that process, that we do have a very strict process and a good workflow, but it's making sure that we stick to that consistently, project by project.
Gotcha. Okay. I then want to sort of pivot a little more to the design part of the D&B sort of sphere, if you will. Obviously, you have your in-house design team. What happens to that process when you come on for the build and you work with, say, someone like myself, a designer outside of your organization, who, dare I say, may have their whims and fancies and so on?
I would never suggest anything like that.
So what happens then? How do you sort of manage the process when you have external, not just designers, but even external PMCs, client reps, etc.? How do you sort of get everyone on board?
Well, it comes down to the same process, really. Of just I think everybody in my team is sick of me saying it's fine to push back. Okay, It's fine to say no sometimes, because as long as you're saying no with the right reasons behind it and a solution to it, it's fine, right?
Right.
I don't. I never want some of our team to say yes to something that they deep down know it can't be delivered on time, or it's the wrong product. Okay,
Right.
so we regard ourselves as experts in the field of delivering D&B projects. So, I think what happens is designers such as yourself and others who have got a particular methodology or particular design that they want to happen, I think you would appreciate and respect the fact that we could go, we've looked into this in the greatest amount of detail and we suggest this. Again, no, it's not the resistance, it's that my repeated nature in the office is it's fine to say no. Okay? So I think that's a management of expectations perspective, really.
See, adding to Kevin's point, like we exactly know what time it takes. Let's say if a third-party designer is involved where there is a design consultant on the job, the first thing what we tend to do is just once the tender is awarded, we tend to meet the designers clearly, right? It is often 90% of the time it's at the schematic levels designs we have received from a design company. So we have already understood it. That's how we have priced it, right? So the first thing what we try to do is just do a detailed preliminary initial design workshop with the designers. Set the expectation right, as Kevin said. We make it very clear, okay, this is preliminary concept you have. We'll have X number of drawings coming on, like let's say 1 week or 2 weeks. Like the milestones are set very clearly. At the same time, if let's say suppose if there is an unreasonable request put forward to us, we explain them very clearly,
Right.
that why it can't be done and why it shouldn't be rushed. Often because if you're going to rush now, we make a small error in the design at the side, it can develop to a greater problem, and then redoing it is again going to cost us more, take us more time and cost. So we're very clear with that, and often we communication goes in a very cohesive way where we try to, with yourself, when we worked on the project, you felt like we were working as a team. We were, well, of course, I know you were a designer and you were the consultant appointed by the client, but we always, our approach is, okay, you're now my team and I'm your team. We'll work together and we'll finish it off. That's another approach which works well in our favor.
I think also, Partha's exactly right, of course, but we've just moved our own office. So we've been through the process ourselves of designing the space, and we've very much designed it with that collaboration in mind. So if you see our design area now, we've got a big materials lab. We've got a big area for collaboration, talks, and it's been lovely to see those spaces being used, whether it be for, suppliers coming in and just doing a lunch and learn, or just team huddles, that are, so Anne was one of our designers who does all of the material procurement and transmittals and all that. She's got a beautiful area now. And that space is perfect for external designers coming in, because you come out of your environment to our environment and it feels like a home. Okay, it's a design paradise now. Nice. So we try and hold hands through the process, I hope. And a lot of the designers that we've worked for over the years, they're just part of our extended team now. We don't see them as an external designer in many ways. They're a project partner going forward. So again, the new space that we've got is really designed around welcoming external design teams, external PM teams. We've offered, some of our space people can just drop in if they're in Business Bay and work from there. So we've tried to create this kind of hub for all of the industry to just come in and enjoy, work together, and it's designed very much with that in mind.
Nice. To be honest, the more I hear about it, the more I want to come.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime.
Hang out over there. But kind of then just shifting gears a little bit, I kind of want to talk about, there seems to be a notion with designers, right? Generally, and I'm not saying this is valid. I'm not saying it's warranted even, but there seems to be a notion, especially when it comes to fit out, that it's very hard to get precision and quality in the market at the moment. While there obviously are people that do it, typically comes at the absolute top end of the commercial spectrum, and that almost guarantees it to an extent. But even then, there are some shockers. So I guess the question is, why do you think that sort of last mile of delivery, I'll call it, which is literally, trims and shadow gaps and things like that, why do you think there's a little attention lost generally in the market when it comes to that sort of last?
There's no doubt in my answer to that question. It's because of speed and time.
Speed and time.
People run out of time. This region is notoriously fast track, okay? And And if you haven't planned your project, or you haven't designed your project and then planned your project to the finite detail, that last hurdle is where it all falls apart. And it frankly does fall apart. I've seen it many, many times. Not with us, by the way.
Of course not. Of course not.
No, but it all comes down to planning. And if things are rushed, if you're rushing to the finish line, you fall over.
Right.
It's as simple as that for me. We start our snagging process very early on in the process. As soon as something is almost finished, our QA QC guy visits site, and we've got a guy. He's not a guy who just goes and says, "That's rubbish. That's wrong. Fix that." He's a time-served carpenter himself. He's built film sets. He's been on all sorts of different projects throughout his career. So he knows why things can go wrong.
Yeah.
And if that's, most of the time at the moment, if he spots a defect early on, it will come down to mainly a training gap, and he will spend time with the guys on site and go. So what's happening over time is a gypsum guy on the previous project may have, fixed their corner trim incorrectly. Well, he'd have spent time with that guy that have done a mock-up. This is how to do it. This is how we prevent that happening in the future. The next project, it doesn't happen. So we've invested quite heavily in making sure that he's not only just QA/QC in it, he's training the guys of where those things go wrong. Visiting factories before things leave. That's really important for us. There's no point something coming to site, whether it's damaged or just not quite right. You'd rather send him to the factory, look at everything before it leaves. If there's something that needs rectifying, gets it done there before it goes to site.
Okay. And what happens in terms of, if you look at material specific things? I mean, we've worked on a couple of projects where there's been this whole new type of material installation that has shown up last minute on site, and everyone's kind of scrambling to find out what's the best methodology, what's the best this, what's the best that. So how do you sort of navigate around that when you have a new sort of material that shows up?
We see it straight. As you said, we've faced a change, a request from the last moment at the client where we were supposed to do a wall paneling, which completely got changed to a different product. And so what we do is the moment we get a change request from a designer or from the client, it's straight. We go back to our drawing board, see what is the request, how it is firstly impacting us, let's say cost, time, and then figure out that once that part is figured out, then we go back and figure out what is this material, like what are they asking us. Let's say if it's changing of a laminate to a veneer, it's a different process. Let's say if we were completely changing it to a different product, it's a different process. So we understand, okay, what is the change?
Yeah.
Then we draw out a methodology and then discuss with the client that this are the changes where we'll have to, there is a cost now involved, or sometimes it's only the time, because let's say this product is currently not available in the market, or it takes a longer lead time, or let's say even the cost is fine, the production of that material is going to take it's a little different method, a little tricky. So the same issue what we had, let's say it was a laminate wall paneling, but it was very tricky material to use, and like it's not normal handling. We have to take 10 times of more precision to have it perfect. So we basically dissect everything to pieces and then finish the puzzle, go back to the client with a cooked up recipe, inform them very clearly, sit with them, discuss with them, and then make them aware, and then just replicate the same or apply the same in the site.
Right. I think that makes sense. That seems to be the most rational way to go about it. And I'm pretty sure designers and clients appreciate it. I almost want to put us, the designers, under a microscope now, because while it is convenient to kind of point the finger, kind of have to look inward, be a little retrospective and see what we're also doing wrong. So on that note, given your experience obviously working with a wide array of designers across multiple typologies, sectors, etc., I'm sure as a firm you must have noticed a couple of trends. When you get design packages from designers like myself, there may be certain things lacking or certain things missing, or maybe just detailed wrong, or whatever it may be. So if you could kind of identify a couple of standard things that you see with packages that you get from designers, what could we as designers improve before the design comes to someone like yourself?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, it's where things transition from one thing to another.
Ye old transition joint.
Okay, and yeah, it's in any transition, whether it be floor, wall, ceiling, joinery. But again, sometimes if we're working with a designer who are producing a beautiful concept, that's up to us to help you with the detailing of that. So again, flagging that early. Like if there's a particular, you got terrazzo here and then you've got tiles here. It's really getting into the detail and workshopping what that transition is going to be. Is it a trim? Is it seamless? Is it a shadow? What is it? Define it. But that for me, throughout my whole career, is where there's not enough emphasis on attention to transitions in whatever it is. That's my biggest one.
Okay.
I don't know if you've got one, Partha.
I think so. He's covered it all because he's bang on the point, to be honest.
So the point where materials meet, any kind of material.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Hear that, guys? I mean, this is what we got to do now.
We have to be very careful answering these questions.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, not that I speak for all designers here, but I feel like I speak for most at least. So I do agree. And I think when it comes down to it, it may not necessarily be a lack of time on our end. It may just be a knowledge gap, to be honest, because I suppose every designer kind of knows the standard, L trim bracket, for example, and that's fine. But if it is something a little more complex, designers are known to sort of put off liability to an extent in the sense of, buy specialist, etc.
But I'm fine with that, to be honest with you. This region has got some fantastic designers. And I would genuinely rather they spend their time working on these beautiful concepts than these details, because that's what we're there for. Right. We're there, again, this is becoming part of the project team. This is the professional team at the end of the day. Your concept, we need to turn it into reality. We're the guys who ultimately need to build it. So making those elements buildable, but maintaining your design integrity, that's where I think that we shine, right? Because that's our specialism. We should be able to make your beautiful designs come to life. So I'm kind of fine with that.
All right, cool. Let's turn up the heat. Awesome. Sort of moving towards then the latter half of the episode, I do want to ask now, with Verve as a whole, right? You've sort of entered this, I'm going to self-proclaim it as Verve 2.0 to an extent.
Nice.
What are you guys looking to achieve, work towards? Again, obviously things which you can, share publicly is fine. Sure. But I'm sure internally you must have something that you're kind of working towards. So what is that?
There absolutely is. I mean, we have got a very clear 3-year roadmap. That roadmap, that business plan, is very much about growth, but it's very much about sustained growth.
Okay.
And, we've made decisions recently in terms of our investment in the business. The new office is the biggest part of that. The team that we brought in as well. We've got a head of projects who's come from one of the bigger PMCs. We've got a head of commercial who's come from one of the biggest fit-out contractors in Dubai. We're putting infrastructure in place to enable us to deliver that 3-year plan. I don't think it's wise for us to go into the numbers,
of course,
to be honest with you, but we are, again, it comes back to that kind of squad of people, formation and strategy.
Yeah.
And the strategy is set and everyone's working to the right-hand side of that plan.
Right.
That plan, our year 1 plan finishes in December.
Right.
And we're all going to be marking ourselves against it.
Okay. I only asked that question because I'm interested to know where. Okay, let me backtrack a bit and give you a bit of context. So, as a design studio, for example, on our end, we're now very. I don't want to say picky, but very specific about the kind of clients we want to work with.
Listen.
And the reason why that is because while we are very good at what we do, we do want to look at another vertical. We do want to look at another typology, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's something which you guys are thinking about as well, because while it is good to have a goal and what you want to work towards, the kind of projects that you take on, the kind of clients you bring on, also sort of factor into that, I would imagine. So
100%.
in a nutshell, would you ever say no to a client that's not a good fit?
See, I'll take that question. To answer your question first, yes, we have made very cautious calls a couple of times, even in this year, where we have gone back to the client and said, no, we're not in the position of taking the business. I wouldn't get into the reasons of it, but we're very clear with the our decision on what basis we have come across. And just backtracking a little bit, as you said, you say Verve 2.0. So how we see it, it's a new chapter in Verve, right? So as Kevin has said, that we have a clear roadmap. What are we, like, we exactly know in our head, where are we headed in next 3 years and where we will be.
Right.
We aren't chasing, let's say, that we want to be number one with regards to revenue or number one with regards to the size of the projects.
But why
We're
not? Why not?
Maybe down the line.
I can answer that.
See, right now we are very focused. We're very clear that we want to do top jobs with our mantra, which we have very clear: no defects, no surprises, on time, on budget. So we have a very clear 3 years roadmap, as Kevin said, and we working towards that, right? And with regards to now, as you said, we are qualifying our leads. Not that we didn't have the KYC, but now we have put even stricter KYCs. Let's say a lead comes into the organization. Now we have 4 approvers of qualifying the lead, and all 4 of the approver sees all the relevant information come in as a part of tender, what it is, how it is, what's our winning chances. Because we also have to understand that, let's say, if we quote 100 projects in a month, our win will be, let's say, 2 or 3 projects. But if we quote 10 projects and we quote a proper 10 project, our winning ratio can increase. So, and what we have done is, at least out of 4, 3 has to approve. So where a good amount of KYC is taken care of, like people have seen every, let's say a project comes in, Kevin looks into a different aspect of the client. Okay, what it brings onto the Verve, like what is the branding? We see, let me see, I'm from a procurement background. So what I see is, okay, how does the client pays well? Is the revenues are going to be good? Like there are multiple parameters everyone checks. So what happens is it's a good fusion of different brain put together, and then we approve it. So from there, even if you see our recent projects which has been completed and published, you can start seeing the brand names where it's getting better and better and better. And we try and mostly work with corporates.
And do you think it's almost like a snowball effect where you kind of, I know, I mean, is it fair to say that it's almost like a vibe you put out, that the more sort of qualified clients you work with, the more you attract? Is that fair to say?
In a way, I think you're right there, because the momentum is a wonderful thing, actually, because, and I also think it comes back to that, just being respected. You know, when we respect ourselves, people respect us. You know, by not saying yes to everything, by not saying yes to every deliverable, you know, by pushing back, people ultimately do respect you for that. So I do believe we have gained a bit of momentum for that reason. And again, repeat clients
Are the best kind of clients.
Well, again, we're just seeing more and more of that, you know. Or a client, you know, you mentioned working with designers. We recently did a Studio Mashari's studio in
shout out
Alcazar. Sorry, yeah. You know, working with those guys was fantastic, and that was, you know, their studio is beautiful, very unique. And again, from there, the guys have recommended us to some of their clients. So it's about just demonstrating, and you know, you said about your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And I think that momentum is absolutely happening.
Okay, interesting. I want to share, for the benefit of sort of everyone listening now, key learnings, right? Because I think all of us, while we may know a lot, there's always something more to learn. So if you could share with our audience, who, like I mentioned, are predominantly designers, if you could share with them a key learning which you think would benefit them be it across projects, career, life as a whole, whatever you want.
Get more sleep.
Get more sleep. Noted, Kevin. Noted.
The whole region, the whole sector, I think needs to do that. I know I do. No, but honestly, like, come and sit in our studio and work with us. Like, work it together, work those concepts together. The more we collaborate, the better we are together. That sounded quite corny, actually. I didn't realize that, but but actually, no, genuinely, we like to get involved really on, and we'd rather be sat as partners rather than opposite sides of the desk. So, you bring some fantastic designs, some fantastic ideas. The creativity is amazing, and then we can help evolve those into buildable, detailed projects. So early engagement is that's my biggest desire for working with designers here.
Gotcha.
Early engagement. Sure, Partha has a few.
Yeah, actually, I would say the same. Like, collaboration is the key here when we try to work with external designers, and early engagement will be another key. And one more thing I would want to add is often when we try and work with designers, right? So we understand that you have a vision out of which you have done a beautiful design. At the same time, the buildability factor also needs to be checked within the budget what client has, within the timeline what the client has, or let's say what does the building also accommodates. We can't bring in a 6-meter slab into a 2.4-meter lift. So there is where
facts, absolute facts.
Yeah, so there is where I would say
But that's what helicopters are for, Partha.
Yeah.
I would love to do that project. I would love to do that project. So as I said again, as Kevin said, sum it up: collaboration, early engagement with the designer, and the overall cohesiveness, like the reciprocal relationship will always help us eventually.
You touched on a really important point there, which I think needs elaborating. It just came to mind there. The budget, okay? This needs to be discussed, right? Like, because again, we know how much things cost. We can look at an amazing design, and then we can look at a specification that you guys have put together and go, no chance for that budget.
Big disconnect.
A huge disconnect. So really that, again, it comes back to early engagement, but that is a real key part of this process, that we lose a lot of time in this process here because, again, not to repeat myself, but it is every project here is fast track, all of them. So if we're just open with one another about what the budget is at the beginning of the project, we can work together to get a budget and a specification that fits that budget, and one that doesn't compromise the design.
Yeah.
And that's that. And again, it comes down to working together, but defining that budget really early on is key to the success.
Yeah, I think it's almost like looking under the hood, right? Like very, very early on.
Yeah.
I think
That's the way to put it.
you touched upon something which is quite interesting, which I want to ask from a business point of view now, more as an operator. While on the one hand, it is very good to get involved early on, you do run the risk of abortive work, because with designers, for example, if we do a concept and we do, say, an iteration to that, it could be day and night from what the previous one was.
Yeah.
And obviously you'll be dedicating time, resource towards being involved that early on, as compared to the traditional sort of at the end of the design coming on. So how do you sort of manage potentially that sort of abortive work that happens in the design process?
For me, that comes down to us being project partners. Okay, if we have an understanding, our investment in time into that project is going to help you as a designer. It's going to help the client at the end as the end user, and ultimately us all carry out that project to a successful delivery. So it's our investment in that process is doing as best we can for the design team as early as possible for you to be successful, and ultimately us for us to be successful. But it's very much it is opportunity cost is huge. Okay, and that's fine if you're working with the right people.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and coming back to your previous question about selecting clients and pushing back sometimes on particular projects, you're not going to work with somebody who just repeatedly kind of wastes your time. We can put a lot of time and effort into things, but ultimately, if things aren't coming off at all,
Yeah.
that early doors. So this network of project partners around the region is really important to us, and just it's all about relationships at the end of the day.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
It all comes down to that, and if we can work with somebody, we will invest time and effort. That's our investment in the project.
Gotcha.
See, it's it becomes very. See, I'll tell you what. When, as you said, when we are trying to do iterations, to be honest, everyone gets that, right? Over a period, if you run a business for, let's say, 10 years, or you've been in the industry for 20 years or so, you can clearly gauge or judge, okay, there is an iteration of the design from R1 to R2.
Yeah.
But at that time, we get a very clear signal that, is this project going to move forward or not, right?
Yeah.
Are we now shifting from a budget of 10 million to a 15 million? We get that insight very clearly, like we have this thing in us. And then there is where we do is we do discuss this with designers, guys, like current revision is going to drive up our cost by 40%. What do you feel about that?
Right.
How does the client feel about that? Because at this stage, if you're collaborating, we would have also met the client. The client would have also had his clear conditions, that these are my conditions for the project to start with. And let's say from R1 to R2, when we are conceptualizing with you, we do speak to the client as well, that this concept is going to gain you, let's say, this XYZ wow factor, but at the same time, it comes with an additional commercial impact of X amount. Does that work in your favor? And then from there, we can also get a feeler of it. Then we can eventually discuss with the designer and the client. Okay, we can't go up to a 40% increase. Okay, why don't we do one thing? Let's settle at 20% approximately budgetary, design it accordingly, see if it really works it from your first option to the second option. That's also another approach. But it's just that getting the intuition whether the project is going to go forward. And as Kevin said, we have this intuition. Let's say if it is third or fourth iteration, which we are currently doing in one of the project, we are on the fourth iteration of the design, but we know the project is a go. So we are ready to spend the time and energy because it's going to be a beautiful space at the end of the day once it's built.
Gotcha. Okay. I think as a designer, that's very positive to hear that, you do have, like you mentioned, partners involved and not necessarily stakeholders. I'm not a big fan of the word stakeholder.
No.
It feels very financial.
Yeah. You've got your steak and I've got mine.
Yeah, pretty
Why
much.
don't we share a steak? A big tomahawk.
Awesome. So I kind of then just as we sort of wrap up the episode now, I kind of want to get your insights on a couple of things. You mentioned earlier on that you ideally like to target commercial spaces. And I'm assuming by that you mean a lot of grade A offices, for example, things of that nature. While I can see how that sector sort of aligns with what you're trying to achieve, which is obviously they're typically commercially driven, they have a sort of move-in date, internationally have a move-in date and things like that. So a lot of moving parts have to align very early on, which sort of aligns with your strategy as well. And therefore, once you're in it all the way to the end, and that's kind of it. Something like Resi, for example, might be the other extreme, wherein it may start off super slow and then really pick up at the end and so on and so forth. So I guess my question is, apart from commercial projects, are you guys looking at taking on anything else, or do you want to sort of double down on what you guys are doing now?
See, we are doing commercial offices, right? At the same time, we are not limiting ourselves now with regards to which sector are we working. We're already working in residential sector. And last year was a good learning, and we've learned from there, we've grown from there. We figured out where was our gap in that sector. Then we sat down, draw up a plan. Okay, where do we lack? What is our weakness? What is our strength in that? And if we change our weakness to strength, can we double down? Will the revenue grow? So we are doing residential now, and we're extremely strong at automotive. Like we have worked with the top brands in UAE, and one of the largest showroom ever built in Sharjah, currently operational, 80,000 plus square feet, which we have done along with automotive. So we are doing commercials, we are doing residentials, and right now we are at a bandwidth of a residential, like with regards to price we are playing on, but internally we're gearing up to go to ultra high-end residentials or high-end residentials. Let's say the project worth more than 10 million or so. Today we are banking within 10 million because we know that we will be able to deliver it, right? We don't want to be in a position where we pick up a project and then we're not able to deliver it. The mantra which we discussed in the beginning of this podcast, we believe in that and we want that to happen. So as I said, commercial is our main focus, which has been from the inception of the business. We've now diversified ourselves, let's say, into residential. Automotive was always been there. I worked with you on automotive project that went very really well, and we're into hospitality, F&B mainly. But for few of our recent project also has won awards, which we have collaborated with other designers built in within the region.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you said about automotive, when I first started at Verve, I said to the guys, we must be the busiest automotive D&B contractor that nobody's ever heard of. Because honestly, some of the names, Brabus, BMW, Geely, we're on site with a number of those at the moment as well. Yeah, we really fly in automotive, actually. Yeah.
Can I ask how that would have happened? Was it just by chance that one led to the other? Was there any active?
If I'm honest, I think it's because Partha and Azim hang around too many car showrooms.
Azim, we have seen the Porsche, man. We have. You can't hide from it.
Exactly.
No,
there's historic relationships with people there. Yeah.
See, to be honest, we're talking to a client. We didn't knew the client. The client actually called us. They are the dealers in UAE. The brand gave our number to them. And that was like, I really felt proud when the client called in and he's like, I'm from this dealer and we're trying to do a workshop and a showroom. I'm very happy when I'm getting a call. I didn't have to walk out, search in the market.
Customer acquisition cost?
Zero. The CAC is zero here. Towards the very end of the call, I asked him, if you don't mind, can I ask you one last question? He's like, yes, go ahead. I'm like, just wanted to understand, from where did you come to know about me? From where did you get my contact? He's like, actually, the brand gave me your contact. I'm like, wow. Because often what happens, automotive industry has, how it works is, today, let's say a brand manager is representing one X brand. He moves after 3 years. You do a good job for him and then he goes to another brand and he's going to develop showrooms or workshops. It changes. And in automotive sector, let's say the workshops, people focus mainly into showrooms, right? We have done showrooms, massive showrooms. At the same time, our extreme powerful forte is also workshops. Workshops are very integrated. You have to work with a lot of equipment which comes from automotive industry. You need to have an understanding what is a scissor lift, what is a jack, and what is a load, the foundation, what do you do, like how much deep you can dig in. And let's say your property is very close to metro. One of the project which we did for a well-reputed British brand, the workshop is very close to metro station. So there is restrictions to how much amount you can dig in. Since over the period we've done repetitive workshops, we have gained that knowledge. So now we are able to actually advise our client in the beginning, guys, you are in this zone. So max what you can do is this. So you'll have to figure out your equipment before. So we are able to troubleshoot a lot of stuff in the beginning. And that resonates well with our client. And then, as you said, like, see, you designers, we meet, contractors, we meet in networking event, you guys go out and then it's a word of mouth. You do good job after good job after good job, and then it just translate to next brand.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is probably one of those markets where word of mouth and your reputation is actually everything.
Yes.
I mean, I'll be entirely honest. There are partners that I've worked with purely because I've made a call to someone and I've said, listen, I need a guarantee. Will they deliver? And I've heard a yes. And I've not even tendered out. I've just directly gone to them. And then vice versa, it's worked the other way with me as a designer, wherein we have not had to compete with other designers. It's the jobs come to us. So I think you're right. I think kind of having that one-to-one relationship over a long period of time, your seeds sort of prosper across the industry.
And those negotiated D&B projects always end up better. Always end up. The result of negotiated design and build projects for me are the best scenario. You're working together as a project team to deliver it with no other interference. We make a fair and reasonable profit on all of our projects. Of course we do. That's what we're in business for. And we're proud of that.
Yeah, as you should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as we're all, being very clear about what our objectives are, what we want to do with the project, I think those scenarios they're few and far between in many ways, but they are the best outcomes all the time.
Nice. Cool. So as we have just about reached the end of the episode now, we have a bit of a form tradition, which is a question that's been asked by one of our previous guests to you, not knowing who you guys are. So you don't know who asked the question. The person who asked the question doesn't know who's going to get the question. to make things even more complicated, we throw all these questions into a fishbowl and then pick out one at random. So the question today will be for the both of you. So I will pick it out of my trusty little phone here. And the question that you have today... Oh, and by the way, sometimes these are quite philosophical. Sometimes they're quite silly. But and sometimes they're actually
you're setting this up for something. I know.
It's honestly, it could be anything from what's your favorite pizza to what's the purpose of life.
Okay.
It could, and sometimes it's design even. Who knows? So the question that we have for you today is, kind of spicy.
Or you picked the spicy one.
It kind of just came to me, so I was like, all right, we're rolling with it. So the question is, what is a current design trend that you would want to kill off? That you think we've had enough of, it's overdone. Dare I say I might want to answer this as well?
There's a word that's come straight into my mind. Terrazzo.
Terrazzo?
Yeah.
Terrazzo.
I'm done seeing it, man. No, I love it, but I'm just done.
But all right, okay. I feel like
Terrazzo
Terrazzo kind of got like bullied on. Like
that
such
was
an innocent,
straight
like,
off the bat. That was straight off the bat. That was my gut speaking. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of Terrazzo.
All right. So Terrazzo, I'm assuming flooring primarily.
Primary. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, back-painted glass paneling.
Come on.
It's
What is
been
going
there
on?
from the start of the design stage. To be honest, I've just spoke to a couple of my, whichever company I worked, I've spoken to them also. Back-painted glass is the most safest option. You can put it on a wall as a wall paneling.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would rather love to see one project where they've not put a back-painted glass as a wall paneling. Yes, it can be used as a writing board, a backsplash of a pantry counter.
Sure. But then what would then be the ideal alternative if not?
Can be as creative as possible, mate, on this. I was actually looking into internet a few days back. I saw one of the Chinese manufacturer is like it's actually it's a roll up, like a sort of a paper stuff, like what you see in here. It's, even though you touch it, you feel it like it's a stone, right? But it's a roll of paper. If I have to be honest, if I'm good with my craftsmanship, I can actually silicon it. There's one good example is Wood Up, which we met recently. One of the supplier, they've got really good product. Like, it's so easy that anyone can actually buy that product off the shelf and just install it. Okay. Like, there's so many new products in daily basis. Like, it's hard to keep a track.
Okay, interesting.
Wow,
Did
the
not
Terrazzo
expect those.
suppliers.
Sorry, one more stuff. Concealed skirting.
Concealed skirting.
With skirting?
Concealed skirting.
Concealed skirting. A nightmare for a project manager.
What is going on here? These are not bad things, gentlemen.
None of them are bad things. Just see a lot of it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. You do see a lot of it.
Yeah.
Dare I say I am a big fan of back-painted glass, although I'm not going to question myself.
Look, and I'm a big fan of Terrazzo flooring, but I'm just, you asked me what I'm sick of seeing, and that's what I'm saying.
Fair enough. All right. Okay. So I think on that note,
We're going to get hate mail from all of the Terrazzo suppliers.
Yeah. Sorry, Terrazzo suppliers. If you ever want to sponsor an episode, I guess you know where we stand now. No, but all jokes aside, I did want to thank the both of you for coming on the show. It obviously means a lot to us, to the community at large. What I keep telling people is that the show is only possible because of people like yourselves donating your time. So sort of coming on, and more importantly, just being transparent, trying to add value. And my strong belief is that the rising tide lifts all boats. And therefore, the more we all know together, the better we become as an industry. So on behalf of the show, our editors and so on, thank you all for coming on.
Thank you very much for having us. It's been fun.
Thank you.
And for the rest of you guys, we will catch you guys next week.